Alright, what's going on, Big Blue Nation? Sports fans all over the world. Welcome to S.M.E with my special guest, which I like to let them introduce themselves. So, John, go ahead, let the people know who you are and where they can find you.
Nah, Shakes, appreciate that, man. John Schmeelk, New York Giants, host of the podcast network, pre and post on the radio on FAN. Just doing all things Giants, man. Happy to be with you, Shakes. Good to talk to you.
Everything Giants, everything Giants. Yeah, man. It's always great to talk to you as well, John. You basically I can equate you to giving me my start. Um, Big Blue Kickoff Live. I've just been calling up there, and it became me being a regular caller, and then people was just lobbying me for to have my own show. So it's all started with you, John. It's all started with you.
So it's
So
my fault.
yeah,
On
pretty
me.
much
All
they
right.
can blame you. But yeah, so I always have this appreciation for you. Um, So first thing, we're just gonna get right to it because I know I don't have too much of your time. But big fan of this guy. I think we spoke about this guy for years, even before he was on this team. Where I said, man, they gotta go get Obama. They gotta go get Obama. Russell Wilson, man. What's your impressions of how he's been since he's been in the building?
Hey, look, as a guy and a leader, I think it's been as good as you could imagine. I think his positive attitude and his professionalism has really infected the rest of the team. I think they've taken to just his very regimented, do things a certain way, be very particular about how he does things, and also just being very specific, and just bringing that type of atmosphere to the team. Like he talks to defensive players, he texts people all the time, he brings teammates together. As a leader, he's been great. And now we got to see if it when the rubber hits the road and they start playing games, if it transfers to his play on the field.
I agree, and you know, this is the reason why I wanted him on the team is because I felt like leadership wise, he can not only help a younger quarterback, but just help the team overall. He's a guy that has won in this league, and his leadership is a value, and I think that is much needed on this team. So, to me, I got high hopes for this team, but we'll talk about that. My next question for you is your impressions of Jackson Dart.
I think he's done well everything they've asked him to do. I think personality wise, moxie wise, confidence, attitude, approach, all that fits for what you want out of a quarterback, which I think is important. I think that's number one. I would say number two, um, they have not asked him to do a ton of what he didn't do in college in the games in the preseason. There's been a lot of RPOs, a lot of go balls, a lot of screen passes, a lot of little hitch stop routes, things like that. Now, there's been a couple passes in each game where I've raised my eyebrows a little bit, a couple dig routes over the middle, a little slant on the back shoulder. Like he's shown stuff, and I think he's shown different arm angles, his athleticism, a comfort in the pocket where I think he moves well in there. He doesn't panic. So I think all those are good positive things. But we still haven't seen him doing like a full fledged NFL offense against full fledged NFL defenses. Defenses in the preseason are obviously very tame. They're very simple. He didn't go against the starters in for the first two games or the third game. They rested everybody in that game also. I think he had one series against the starters. I don't remember if it was against the Bills or the Jets. So you like what you've seen so far. I think you're optimistic, but there's a ways to go.
Um, I totally agree on that as well because in the draft process, it was this Shador Sanders love fest going on with the fans. And some people, you gotta go Shador, and some people was with the Shador die. And you remember with the Saquon to die, with the campaign that I threw. But and I was like, no, I'm like, I like this kid Jackson Dart. And some fans was, trying to come at me. Well, what you like about him? Blah 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 blah. But my thing was, if you give this kid 1 year to just watch a veteran and how he does it, I think the sky is the limit for Jackson Dart. And luckily, that's what the GM has done for this football team with Russell Obama Wilson and also Jameis Crab Legs Winston.
And look, Shakes, I think ideally, he sits for a long time. I mean, if he does not play this year, that means Russell Wilson's playing well. The offense is scoring points. The team's winning games. I think that's a good thing, right? So let's see how it goes. But I think they're going to be patient with him, and I think they love to be patient with him. But when he eventually makes an appearance, it will be determined by his progress behind the scenes, also what's going on with the team, and then we'll kind of figure it out from there.
Okay. Next question here. Next one up is a fan favorite. So I want to know what you think he gonna do here. Cam Scatterboo, his impact as a rookie. What you think?
It's a good question. Remember, he missed a lot of time in the summer with that leg injury. So I think it'll be a slow tune-up for him in terms of how much they use him. I do think eventually they plan on him being a decently large part of the offense. I think, him and Singletary can be used in short yardage. What you like about Scatterboo is that as a pass protector and a receiver, he does that well, the same way Tyrone Tracy Jr. does. So I think those two guys, even though their running styles are very different, they're both capable of doing everything you need a running back to do. So they're almost interchangeable. So I think you'll eventually see like those guys alternate possessions or series or drives. And, they'll kind of work that way. I still think Tracy is going to be the primary, especially early in the year. But I could easily see Scatterboo cutting into some of that as he gets, more used to the NFL offense, the Giants offense, and he kind of gets his legs underneath him a little bit.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I do think he's a little behind because of the missed time, but I do think that they're going to slowly but surely ease him on in into the game plan. As not to say he's going to be a starter, but he will have enough plays for me eventually throughout the year that he'll have a role. He'll gain a role, so to speak. But my next question here is your opinions of Evan Neal's position change.
I think he looks more comfortable at guard. I don't think he's shown enough to break into the starting lineup, but I see promise there. We know how the season goes, Shakes. Odds that both Giants guards are going to be in center are going to be healthy the whole year. It's probably not going to happen. That's just not the way the NFL works. And then maybe he'll get an opportunity. We'll see how he can do. But I do think having to work less laterally and more downhill is probably better for him. And we see when he gets his hands on guys, he's strong enough. He's not going to get bull rushed inside. But look, there were still some snaps in the preseason where guys beat him quickly off the snap and things of that nature. So it hasn't been perfect. I think you've seen good signs, and I think there's room there for him to develop at the position as we move along here this year. And look, they're going to need him at some point, and we'll see how that goes when they put him in the game. But I do think overall he looks pretty comfortable there, and I don't think some of the things that are holding him back at tackle would necessarily hold him back at guard.
I like the way you said that because I have my own theory on him. I like him. He's a Shakes guy, but I think maybe he is going to have a better career at guard because my opinion is, and my analysis of it is that he has stonewall feet. He doesn't have quick dancing like a bare feet like a Andrew Thomas, right? So he's not quick and agile. So when those quicker guys come around, he can't keep up. He just can't. So in the inside, it's more acts of run blocking, and you can see he just mauls when he run block. It seems like he's giddy when he gets to run block. When he's pass blocking, it's like he's thinking too much. That's where I'm looking and seeing from how he's playing. Am I wrong, or you have your own take?
Well, look, I think whenever you have a big guy like that, he's going to want to get his hands on people and move them. And I think pass protection by its nature is a reactive position, right? Where you're reacting to what the
Mm,
defensive player is doing to you. And it requires, more quickness and side to side agility and stuff of that nature. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's necessarily him thinking too much, but I do just think the nature of run blocking, um, probably lends itself more to his style and physical abilities as a player than the pass blocking part of the rotation does.
Absolutely. Now this is something that it's a question that me and my and shout outs to my production team, KMP Productions, and shout outs to Ghost Dog as well, production work that you do as well for me. But I have uh this thing that we're talking about now, well, this subject that we're talking about now, as far as the rush defense,
Yeah.
right? It's because we got all these pass rushes, but how would you attack these pass rushes? Well, you run a damn ball, right? So you got to this rush defense has to be strong, man. Do you think this rush defense is a problem?
I don't know yet. I have not seen this rush defense all offseason with Dexter Lawrence on the field. So
Right.
until I see that, I don't know. I mean, the first quarter against the Jets wasn't great, stopping the run, but it's one game and it's the preseason. So I think you can't really start judging the rush defense until we see this group together the first couple weeks of the year. And I'll say this, the first 3 week shakes, they're going against three teams that don't have great running games. I mean, the Commanders, the Cowboys, and the Chiefs are not teams that are going to pound the ball on you. They want to throw the ball, right? That's the nature of those three teams. So we might not see a real challenge with a team that wants to pound it until we get to the Chargers in week 4. But I think don't let any of those first three teams exploit you and blow you up. Most importantly, don't allow explosive plays in the run game. That's really got the Giants last year. It wasn't like down to, another 6 yards, another 7 yards, another 5 yards. It would be splash plays that would then, move the rushing average higher, even though you're down, you're okay. And that's being in your gap. That's not missing tackles, things like that.
Okay. Well, I think for me, I'm not totally down on Nachos, but I just think that he's limited on what he can do as far as his girth and really stuffing the run like that. And I think he's the liability, which bodes to me looking at Darius Alexander, because I think that's the guy that they went in this draft and said, okay, this is the guy that is eventually going to plug up that middle with Dexter Lawrence.
Well, look,
But but,
Nacho's not a nose tackle, and I think at times last year you had to play him out of position in nose tackle,
mm,
and I don't think he's designed to take on. He's not big enough to take on some of those double
right,
teams. But if you
right,
have him at like the 3 technique, the 5 technique in a 5-man front with Roy Robertson, Harrison, Dex with the
hmm
2 edge guys out there, I think Nacho's fine at that.
okay, because my thing was Darius Alexander. The only thing is that he missed some time, and he's very young. I think he's the baby of the group. So I think it's going to take him some time, maybe a lot of time, and I don't know if it's going to hurt us for us to be waiting on him to come along for us to, you know, be good on this rush defense.
No, I'm with you.
Also,
I think you're right. I think it's going to take some time with him. He has to get off the ball a little bit better. But he's strong and he's big and he's powerful. So I think that lends himself to having potential in the run game. But I think you're right. That's something you're going to have to lean into as the season goes along. It's not going to be a week 1 type of thing.
and so speaking of this, also, I think it's McFadden as well. And don't get me wrong, I'm not down on him as well. It's somebody that I'm looking at, but I'm not down on him. But there is, to me, limitations with him as far as he's not lengthy, right? So he got those short arms and everything. So to me, he's always in the right place, right time. He's a very headsy player, very smart player, but he just don't finish the plays. He don't finish the tackles. He gets the tackle broken, and you know what I'm saying. And the guy's going at least 4 or 5 more yards down the field. I need him to stuff that. When he's there, and he's make the play and finish. So to me, I think you gotta equate McFadden as well to it. So what are your thoughts on McFadden?
McFadden is a very smart player. He's good at diagnosing where the play is going and getting there. He improved in this respect last year. I don't think he's exactly where he wants to be yet. He needs to miss fewer tackles, and I think I think arm length, to your point, might have something to do with that. Something that is also just general athleticism in space, where I still think there's a few plays still where he gets there, but he doesn't finish, right? So I
Mm-hmm.
think he has to get a little bit better in that area. I think he's doesn't have an issue when it's in, limited space situations, like within, between the tackle boxes. But I think once you get into open space outside and stuff like that, I think you can run into some issues sometimes where he does struggle to get guys down one-on-one in space, which is something he can improve on. Again, I think he did get much better at it last year. 2 years ago, he led the league in missed tackles. He was a little bit better last year. I think that's something that he'll continue to get better at as he plays more.
I hope so, cause I mean he's a great player. So I don't know. It's just all on his value and his money. So I think that's one aspect of the game. Like it has to massively improve, mass. So on to a couple defensive players,
Sure.
and of course we have to speak about Abdul Carter. What are your thoughts on this new
Uh,
phenomenon of a player, as they want to?
I think we spoke around the draft, right? And I told you what I thought of Carter. He would have, aside from Cam Ward, he would have been my top player in the draft class. I thought he was that good of a pass rusher. Just his explosiveness, his quickness, his flexibility, his bend, all that stuff. And he's met every expectation I had for him coming in here. He's been very difficult to block. He flashed some power even once the pads came on, though I still think he's a guy that can get a little bit stronger with his bull rush and things like that. But inside counters, dipping the edge, spin moves, hand usage, he has flashed a full bag and repertoire of moves already. And I think he could have a very, very, very impactful rookie year. Everything he showed in college, he has showed in the pros, which is what you ultimately want to see.
I can't wait to see it, right? Because I have these opinions of him too, and that's all good. But it's like it's one thing for everybody to see it, and then you don't see it, right? He's like, okay, I need to see this. And yeah, we seen flashes in the preseason, which is crazy because like my last thoughts and impression of him is him getting that chop block, which he says I ate that. But and he needs a chip deal, by the way, with that. And I eat them chips. Maybe Lays need to holler at him, right? But that's my last impression of him. So right now, I know he's mad because that's my last impression of him, I know it's a lot of other people's last impression of as well. Like, oh man, you really got laid out there, man. Welcome to the NFL. So with those flashes, I'm like, all right, cool. I just need to see him in action, and now we get to see it. Everything. The lights is on now. This is no more preseason, no more hype train, none of that. We get to see it full fledged. So I can't wait to see it, man. And I think that if he meets the potential and he meets what everybody is saying with the media and all that, with the players and everything, if he meets all of that, I think he's the next great giant, right? So we gonna see. We gonna see, man. But man, I just can't wait to see it, man. I'm giddy about that. Another
No, you
player.
should be, dude. By the way, you should be. It's going to be a lot of fun. I think they're going to line up all over the place. It's going to be tough for teams to locate him. And if the offense can get this defense a lead and they can let the pass rushers go a little bit, you could be looking at a 50+ sack season for this defense, which would be great.
That would be crazy. And my thoughts on this, real quick, because you brought it up, or maybe you didn't, but it sparked it in my head. Pause. But um, with McFadden being that limited, you think that maybe Abdul Carter can fill his position as well? Because I mean, shoot, man, they lined him up everywhere, so why not, right?
Yeah, look, they did not really use him as an early down, off ball inside linebacker at all in training camp and in the summer.
Okay,
So I would be
okay,
surprised if that's a role they try to put him in. I could see them
yeah,
standing him up like that as a rusher on third down. But look, I don't think they view Micah McFadden as limited. I think they really like him as a player. So I don't think there's thought here on early downs of taking him off the field and sliding Carter in there.
Okay. All right. Just my thoughts. Just my thoughts. All right. Last player that I want to know about is Tay Banks. Man, how is he taking everything, with the struggle of last year, having a great rookie year and having great expectations, and then him being the number one corner CB1 and did not do very good. So, third season, what do you think? How you think his mind frame is? What do you think about Tay
I
Banks?
I think he's pretty confident. I know he's worked a lot on the stuff he has to work on in terms of locating the ball in the air and knocking it away. It's something that he's I know has been working on and did with Jerome Henderson when he was here. Now he's doing it with Marcon Manuel and Jeff Burris with them here. And the problem is that we haven't seen him in like 2.5 weeks, Shakes. I mean, he got hurt in one of the jet joint practices. We haven't seen him on the field really much since then. He's been hurt. So let's see what he looks like next week. If it's going to be him or Flott, we'll see. He really did not give up many big plays in practice in the spring or summer. He did not get thrown. He did not get many flags thrown on him either. So I think the performance and the play has improved. It looks better. But as of now, as we're looking at it, we have to see him in a real game against live competition to see what kind of step he's going to take. But not having to follow the best receiver around all the time, I think is really going to help him. Having Paul Adebo on the other side and having two good safeties behind them should help too.
All right, because I mean, eyes definitely are on Tay Banks, and it ain't like nobody is giving him competition. As like you said, man, Fly is right there, and he's like, look, I can do the job, man. So it's on you, Tay Banks. Eyes are on you. Shout outs to Baltimore. All
Yeah,
right. Yeah, yeah. Uh-huh. All right. Now I got two more questions. I'm gonna let you go.
that's perfect.
Yes, I think we're definitely on great timing here. Um, your predictions and thoughts on the New York Giants season?
I'm not going to put a win total on it, Shakes, because the schedule is extremely tough.
It
But
really
I can
is.
say this with a high level of confidence. This will be a much better Giant team than we've seen the last couple of years. The quality of play week in, week out will be better. They're going to be in a lot more games and be a lot more competitive. You are not going to have nearly as many games when the teams are walking off the field at halftime. Um, you wonder if you have to put the game on in the second half. Russell Wilson will be a floor raiser in that sort of way. They're going to make more big plays because he's willing to throw the ball down the field into one-on-one coverage. His deep ball is still as good as it's always been. I think Malik Neighbors is going to have a absolute monster year. Brian Dable knows how to get the ball to his playmakers, and I know him and Russell Wilson have developed a pretty good bond in chemistry. So I expect him to have the ball in his hands all the time. I think this could be a bit of a coming out party for Tyrone Tracy this year. I think he's a very good running back. If the Giants' offensive line can stay healthy, and we'll see about Andrew Thomas in week 1, I think this can be a good enough unit where this offense can function and do whatever they need. So I think that's what you want in that respect, and that's exciting. Defensively, again, if you can get this team a lead, I think they can rush the passer extremely well. I think Shane Bowen should be able to vary what he does in the secondary, whether it's more man-to-man or even more importantly, disguising coverages pre and post snap with the two veterans they added, Javon Holland and Paulson Adebo. He should be able to lean into more of that because of the added experience and ability of the players out there. So I think the defense should be a lot better as well. We'll see about the rush defense. I think that's a TBD to be determined for me. And I think that's kind of where I stand. I don't know what the record's going to look like, but I think when the season's over, the added talent will show that this team is a lot better, but it's going to come down to winning the turnover battle. They only had 5 interceptions last year, Shakes. You have to have only one team had fewer. The Browns had 4. You got to take the ball away more. You have to protect the ball on offense. They're playing so many good teams. If you're going to be in the minus turnover plus minus category, you're not going to win a lot of these games. And if you're going to beat these teams, you're going to have to beat them in close games, which means you got to make field goals late. You got to be good on third down. You got to be good on 2-point conversions late. You got to be good on fourth downs. It's going to be a lot of situational stuff late in these games against these good teams that are going to determine wins or losses, because I think you are going to see fewer games where the Giants are just out of it in the third quarter than we've had the last couple of years. So can they do some of the things they did so well in 2022 in those close games late, with certainly a more talented roster, in my opinion, to turn some of those games against good teams into wins so their record reflects the improved talent and play that I'm almost certain we're going to see this year?
You just gonna stay political on me, huh?
I'm not giving you a win total, bro. Sorry.
Just gonna stay political on
Yeah.
me. Okay. All right. No, last year, right? Let me go back to last year, and we on our last question, so I got a little time.
No,
Um,
you're fine.
so last year, I was so upset about the Saquon Barkley thing, and I went on strike, John. I went on strike. I was a Baltimore Raven fan all year long last year. Just Raven Purple City game all day last year. I would not watch a game of the Giants. The only game I did watch was against the Ravens. And I took that very, very, very hard, right? And one of the things that I predicted last year was this was a 3 to 4 win team. That came to fruition. I was right. Once again, one of the many things that I'm always right on. But I was right. And I'm going into this year and I'm telling people that this is a 8 to 9 win team. This is an 8 to 9 win team. Yes, the schedule is very, very difficult. Very difficult. I just went through a season of Madden on it.
Yeah.
I said, good God Almighty, this team too? I mean, it's just back to back to back to back. I mean, sheesh. It's rough. But I think that teams are overlooking us. I think the media is overlooking us, and we are going to upset a lot of teams. And the reason why is because my philosophy is in this league, you have to have a strong, hard nosed defense and a good running game. And I believe that we have both. Now, the run game bodes on that offensive line, but that defense to me can be top five. If it's not top five, it's definitely in the top 10. So when you got a hard nosed defense like that, you can win games in this league. You're going to upset teams in this league. And that's what I think we're going to do. We're going to beat up quarterbacks just like did in the past, and we're going to upset a lot of teams. They look past us back then. They looked past us in 2007. They looked past us in 2011. I'm just saying.
Look, I think it's going to be a better team, Shakes. I will say this: it is essential that you win one of the first two games on the schedule.
Yeah.
It's two divisional games. They're on the road. But I think both the Commanders, who the Giants played, by the way, really well last year in two games,
Hmm.
and the Dallas Cowboys, who, by the way, the Giants still have not beaten Dak Prescott as a starting quarterback for the Cowboys.
Right.
They have flaws. I think the Commanders' defense is suspect. Sam Cosmi's been put on IR. What does the offensive line look like? They have a lot of older players. We'll see how healthy they are. The Cowboys have the Micah Parsons situation, which has still not been resolved. And I'm usually one to say, the Cowboys wait to the last minute. They'll talk and they'll figure it out. This feels different to me. We don't know what type of head coach Brian Schottenheimer is going to be. They have issues in the secondary and a defensive tackle. I think the Cowboys offense is going to be excellent, but I don't know about the defense. I got to be honest with you. I think that could be a rough unit. So I think the Giants should have an opportunity, if they play well enough, to win those first two games. But they better, because the last thing you want to do, and I've said this a million times, is head home for week 3, prime time, Sunday Night Football, and you're staring at Patrick Mahomes, Chris Jones, Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift, and you have to beat Patrick Mahomes to not start 0-3. That is not a situation you want to be in. You don't want to start the season 0-2 in the division, because once you go 0-3, it becomes, and again, I'm not saying the loss of the Chiefs is guaranteed, but the Chiefs went 15-2 last year, all right? They're the Chiefs. They're phenomenal. Well coached, great quarterback. So figure out a way to win one of those first two games. If you do, you'll put yourself into position where by the time you get to that brutal stretch in the middle of the schedule where you get, like, the Niners and the Packers and all those teams in the NFC North, and the Eagles, you can survive that. But you better start better than you have the last couple of years to do it. So doesn't have to be week one. Doesn't have to be both. But figure out a way to split those first two games to get the season off to the right start.
I never thought of it in that aspect, so that was good, John. Real good shit. Good content right there. My thing is, I think that you have to start off 2-2. I think you have to start off 2-2. If you start off 1-3, you're in trouble. You start off 0-4, you're in trouble.
Well, I'll say this: if you start 1-3, but then you go and you beat the Saints and you're 2-3, I
Mm,
think you're okay. It's not ideal, but I
mm.
think you can survive that. To would 2-2 be better? Absolutely. But if you're 2-3 after 5, I think at least you're still in position here where you can be competitive.
Okay, so just a little quick question off that, what you
Yeah,
just said. 2-3, is Russell Wilson still a quarterback?
absolutely.
Okay.
And look, I guess it depends what the scores of those games look like, right? Like if the Giants are averaging 12 points per game, but somehow have won like 9-3 or something like that in one of these games, then maybe a different conversation. But look, I think they're going to try to, and I think they want to, and they should. They will stick with Russell Wilson as a starter for as long as humanly possible.
I hope so. All right. My last question for you is Super Bowl prediction. Who you got?
It's a good question. I have not finalized this for the record. I have to do this with Paul Dottino on our Friday Big Blue Kickoff show on the app. Super Bowl prediction. I think the Hard Knocks team never seems to make it. I really want to pick the Bills. I
Mm,
really want to pick the Bills.
hmm,
But my gut tells me it's not going to be them. So
hmm.
I'm going to go Ravens. I'm going to go Ravens and Packers. I think the Packers have a really good team. I think they're lacking some star power. I think Jordan Love, if he's healthy all year, is a very good quarterback. He has to be more consistent. I worry about the Lions switching out both coordinators. I just don't want to pick a repeat champion with the Eagles, even though I do think they're immensely talented. And would it surprise me for 1 second if they made it back to the Super Bowl? No, I just don't want to predict that. So I'm going to go Packers, Ravens, and I reserve the right to change my mind before Thursday Night Football next week, Cowboys and Eagles.
Yeah, okay, got you. Yeah, because Packers, I mean, not that it's a stretch. It's not a stretch. But yeah, a lot of stuff had to happen for the Packers to, yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll see. Very good.
Hey,
Very
look, dude,
interesting.
the good thing about the NFC, it's wide open. There's
Yeah,
no Mahomes, there's no Lamar Jackson, there's no Josh Allen, there's no Joe Burrow, there's no Justin Herbert. Like, it's wide open in the NFC. I could
yeah,
see any of a half dozen teams. Like if any of these teams made the Super Bowl, I would not be shocked. The Eagles, the Lions, Packers, the Rams, the 49ers. If any of those teams made the Super Bowl, I would not be blown away or shocked. And heck, I always
yeah,
throw the Vikings in there. I think the Vikings have a chance too, to be honest with you. It all depends on how good JJ McCarthy is. But if he's good, the Vikings roster is phenomenal. It might be the second best roster in the conference. So any of those teams, I think, has a chance if the chips fall right for them to make a run.
yeah. That's very interesting. And you said a lot of teams. I was like, all right, yeah, I can see that. But there are also teams that you're not looking at that also could be there. And that's why when you said it's wide open, it is because maybe I'm not looking at the Packers, but when you say it, I'm like, well,
Hey, and
I,
Chase, I didn't even mention the Commanders. They made the NFC title game last year. So It's
That's
wide
how it
open.
goes. Yeah, that's how it goes. All right, man, great stuff, man. Always. Go ahead and let me get a closing statement and tell the people where they can find you one more time, and I'm gonna let you go ahead and get up out of here.
Yeah, look, the Giants have struggled the last 2 years. It's been hard to watch at times. I think that's going to change this year. I think the quality of football will be at a higher level because you have a veteran quarterback like Russell Wilson. I think they'll score more points. They'll get more explosive plays, which is something Brian Daboll's been desperate for since he got here. Um, Russell Wilson will throw it down the field, and Malik Neighbors will make those plays. So I think the team will be much more fun to watch. The offense will be better. How much better, we'll see. The defense should be very, very, very good. And it's a tough schedule. We'll see how that improved play turns into wins. And check out all our content, Giants.com, Giants app, Giants YouTube channel. Big Blue Kickoff Live is live every weekday, 12:30 to 1:30. And then you have our Giants Huddle podcast and draft season. Our draft podcast. We already have 2 episodes up. Bruce Feldman on the Freaks list, and Drew Fabianich on the new executive director of the Senior Bowl. So, and then Giants Huddle podcast, we got a million things coming up this week. We had Rand Carthon, former GM, earlier in the week. Jory Epstein, who's a great senior reporter for Yahoo, Albert Breer, Mark Malusis, Kevin Burkhardt. We have a writers roundtable next week. Just a lot of good episodes coming your way if you're a Giants fan, previewing the Giants season and the NFL season in general. So I suggest everyone go check those out.
Please do, man, because you know I will. Man, always, always great stuff, John. Thank you again, man. I appreciate you. And
Anytime, man.
already, I know. That's why I'll be hitting your DM. John Schmeelk, everybody. All right. Hey, listen. Great episode. I want to shout outs to my production team, KMP Productions. Thank y'all again. Shout outs to ABSN, Aboriginal Sports Network. Shout outs to my old crew. Shout outs to the new crew. Y'all already know what it do, man. And shout outs to you. Like I always say around this time, hey man, good night.